Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me on and everything. I know I wasn't probably the first pick or whatever, but I'm happy to be able to
You
do the
were
show for you.
absolutely my first pick. Bass players
Thank
rock.
you. I appreciate that. I usually don't get that much love about it, so
Isn't it like a running joke with bands? Like the bass players are always, the last
yeah.
in the
Usually
like
the
the background.
last, well, unless you end up being blessed to be somebody like Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers or Gene Simmons from Kiss or something like that. Like you have to have like a quality that makes you stand out from the get-go. But I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think I'm in the background entirely, but I'm not like the front man either. So,
Well, hey, that's a plus.
oh yeah, I love it though. I think I have a pretty good position being in BrokenRail and everything, so I like it. It's not too much and it's not too little.
Right. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you, with the latest album, how do you feel like you contributed to the sound? Are you more on the heavier side or the lighter side of the album?
Um, it really just depends on from song to song, really. I really didn't take any less precaution when I was writing all my parts from one song to the next. I was trying to get as best as I could with each of them. None of these songs are throwaways, and I don't feel any less about any of these songs. Even some of the songs that I wasn't really that keen on in the beginning because of the way they sounded before we put all the ingredients together, like they ended up becoming some of my most favorite songs on the album by the time all was said and done with. But like our song California, it's like the third track on the album. I really enjoyed the bass line that I did there. But Beautiful Chaos, like the lead track, like there's some like bass breaks and bass solos in it and stuff like that. And I really just enjoyed playing around with that.
I actually was going to say that California is currently one of my favorites, along with Reignite.
Oh yeah, Reignite. Whenever we ended up doing that one, there was some elements like Bring Me the Horizon, like in the beginning with like the synthesizer sounds and everything. And originally there wasn't going to be a whole lot of bass guitar actually in it. We ended up doing like a sub bass line in it, and then I actually ended up coming back in and doing actual bass guitar sounds on top of it, so you actually still hear the pick sounds and how the bass is actually running down, but it's actually got like sub bass below it, so it's literally just a big full like bass line, really.
That's awesome. What would you consider your favorite bass riff of all time? Or at least one of your favorites? I know there's like so
Uh,
many cool ones out there.
Honestly, it probably had to be the one that actually got me into playing bass guitar, which was actually, it was originally by Fleetwood Mac, but I discovered them through 3 Days Grace. But it was the Chain by Fleetwood Mac, like after burn down to the very end, and then they do the bass solo, then the whole band builds back up, and they just play that riff throughout the end of it. And I found out about that song thanks to 3 Days Grace because they covered it, and I literally fell in love with it. And that's probably my most favorite bass line because that was the one that like made it for me.
Oh, wow. I'll have to go back and listen to that. So
Yeah,
that's what
just
got
look
you into
up
bass?
yeah, just go back and look up the Chain by either Fleetwood Mac or 3 Days Grace. Both versions are amazing. I love both of them. But it's probably about 2 minutes and 40 seconds in. It's about a almost 4 minute song, and it literally everything cuts down. You think the song's about just to fade out to nothing, and then the bass just comes in with like a killer riff for like 4 bars, and then the whole band starts building back in, and they start going ham to the end of the song. It's great.
Wow, that sounds epic. No, it seems like Fleetwood Mac is kind of coming back to the forefront because so many TikTok users are using the song Dream, I believe it is.
Yeah, it is really tragic, but with the passing of Eddie Van Halen and everything, like Van Halen's music has really started rotating and getting some charts up there, and it's been beating a lot of pop music and stuff like that lately. So I might be getting around to hopefully once this pandemic's out of the way, we might really start seeing that rotating change of getting out of like rap and pop and potentially country, whatever, but hopefully get back into like rock and metal and stuff like that because so many people are like wanting to be a part of that.
Exactly, yeah. It is sad that it takes the passing of, a legend for that to happen, but I guess that's, what you would consider the silver lining is that, rock music is being appreciated again.
Yeah, it's really bad, but I mean, you can see it time and time again. It's just unfortunately when some people do pass and every that have made big staples in any industry part of the music scene, they immediately start blowing that stuff up because they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know who this person was," or "Oh my God, I miss them so much." With Eddie Van Halen, obviously they're spiking hard. It happened with Lemmy with Motorhead, and it happened with Vinnie Paul from Pantera and Hell Yeah, and especially with uh, Dolores from the
Oh,
Cranberries
right,
with
yeah.
Zombies because we actually worked, the guy who did our album, Joseph McQueen, he actually was the one who went in and did the whole engineering work on Bad Wolf's version of Zombie. And that's reflected in our album, like the production quality and everything. And I love working with him so much. But whenever she passed, like that song blew up. And
Hmm.
granted, like Bad Wolves did an amazing job as it was, but it just so happened everything fell in such a coincidental way that it literally just blew that song out of the water.
No, I love that song. Yeah, I didn't realize they did a cover of it. Oh, you're introducing me
Yep.
to a lot of cool stuff right now.
Well, I'm glad. I try to do as much as music bouncing around as I possibly can, even in my downtime, like between all genres and everything. I do a lot of, or I watch a lot of like reaction channels to different music coming out, and I do my own stuff, and I constantly have Spotify going and stuff like that, just listening to anything and everything new, pretty much.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, speaking of working with Joseph McQueen on your third studio album, how was this experience compared to the previous two albums? Um, working with Joseph McQueen and signing to Cleopatra Records.
For me personally, it was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed it. And Joseph is actually out there in LA, and Cleopatra is just down the road too from them, like the actual home, like HQ and everything. But I can't compare it to the other two albums because I wasn't a part of the other two albums. I've only been in the band since 2017, and the only person that's actually still in the band from that time is Blake, the lead singer. Everybody else is actually a new member, and me and Dave are the next two longest running members, and then Aaron would be afterwards, and then Skylar's the newest member. So that's what's kind of also driven the way our sound has changed and everything. But we all had a great time working with Joseph, and we spent like 3.5 weeks in total out there, and we had a lot of the music wrote beforehand. That's why, some people, I tell them 3.5 weeks, they're like, "Oh my God, why did it take so long?" And then there's some people like, "Oh my God, how'd you do it so quick?" Like we just had we had, I think, 8 out of the 10 songs wrote and figured out what we were going to do with them before we even got to studio. So, I mean, we were able to knock a lot of stuff out, and it was a good time. Like we really busted a lot of stuff out, and we just tag team everything, and everybody had a hand in the production, everybody had a hand in writing their own stuff, and we had a lot of trimming on a lot of songs though too. We had a lot of songs that were pushing 4.5 minutes that got pushed all the way down to about 2:45, 3 minutes, maybe 3:15 if we were lucky, and that's always hard trying to trim down songs whenever you played them so a certain way for so long, but it was great. We all had fun, and we all had a great time doing it. And I personally think Joseph loves the album. That's what he told us anyway. So
No, I think it's a killer album, and um, it was hard to pick a favorite, but yeah, I would say California and Reignite at the moment are at my top. But I want to talk to you about Demon in Disguise. How was the
okay.
music video shoot for that?
Demon was actually what we did is we actually had 3 days of shooting, and we were out in Killen, Alabama, at a place called Arx Mortis, and we got the credits for that. But it's a haunted house out here in Alabama, and they're one of the bigger ones that we have in the immediate area and everything. And we knew some of the people because I actually work at one like a few towns over that's grown in popularity over the last little while. But the Blake's girlfriend actually knew a lot of people from the area, so she got the permits to go into Arx Mortis and record there. And over those 3 days, we actually recorded Creatures. We recorded the Creatures music video, and we took about a day and a half, 2 days, actually pushing into the third day just a little bit. And then we pushed out the rest of the day doing Demon. We did Demon in one day. And it was very, very hot. We did all those music videos in the middle of July, no air conditioning, just running around all day.
Oh
And
man.
and you've seen the Creatures music video?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, so obviously the big performance scene was outside at night. So we were literally going from like 1 o'clock in the afternoon until literally 6 in the morning
Wow.
shooting because we couldn't do the performance scene until that night. So we were doing all the character shots during the day when it was hot and they were all dressed up and all their gear and everything. And then whenever night fell, it's like, okay, now we had to move everything outside, get everything set up. And then we had to do, like, I'm not even kidding you, probably about 12 to 14 run throughs just to get all the shots we needed, which between the strobe lights, the normal shots, individual shots, slow mo, you can name it. But in comparison to that, Demon was nothing at all. Like I think everybody did about 3 runs. Like we did one like fully lit. We did one that was like a silhouetted shot that you see on the Demon videos, like where you really can't see our faces and stuff, but it's like silhouetted, just lighting is pretty much the main thing. And then we did the shots with the girl Cassie, who was like our lead in the music video, but we did that in literally about 9 hours and we busted just to get it done like that.
I imagine you didn't want to go through another, you know, intense long day as you did in Creatures.
Man, at that point, like we were exhausted, definitely exhausted, but I think we had so much momentum and so much adrenaline pumping through us at that time, we just didn't even care anymore. We were just like, I'm ready to do it. Let's just go ahead and get it done. The biggest problem with the music videos that I think I've come to is figuring out what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Like it's so hard to keep on a schedule because anything and everything can happen, whether it be the lighting doesn't work in a certain area, or maybe the character needs to do something different, or maybe we need to do something different, or the biggest problem has literally been moving the equipment
Mm.
because those shots moved all over the place. So you got to move things around, 5 power source, get it all set up, get the characters there, figure out what you're going to do, then record it, make sure it all looks good. It's consistently long and strenuous, but I loved it to death. I really did. I wouldn't I'll never want to forget stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a taste of Hollywood
Oh
making
yeah,
those
and
music videos.
uh, it was great. It's a big time for me, especially just because this is my first album that's ever actually been released under a record label. This is actually my first legitimate album that I've been a part of with anybody that's actually gained some traction, actually had push behind it. It was the first set of music videos I've ever done in my entire life. Like this was a lot of my first of stuff with this album and with this year in particular.
Wow. And you grew up in Alabama, is that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. No, I've been to Birmingham and I was there just for a couple of days, but the people there are so nice.
Yeah, the people are
Compared to
pretty nice.
Boston, at least.
Yeah, I mean, people are pretty nice and everything for the most part, but I live like in a little bit more of a rural area and stuff like that. It isn't such a big urban life. Like you pretty much got to drive about an hour to really go anywhere that's worth a while. But, you know, Alabama just gets such a bad rep because it is a part of the South and stuff like that. People automatically have their own prejudice opinions about it.
I
It's
like the
just like,
stereotypes.
yeah, it's, incest and
Mm.
racism and you know backwoods like hillbilly, all that stuff, and it all goes together. So I think that's one of the biggest that problems that we have to overcome is the fact of teaching people that there are a lot of good stuff that can come out and there's a lot of potential to come out of Alabama, and not everything that comes out is going to be country ridden or racist or this that or the other. So, and I think we've done a pretty good job of making that step forward, especially with hopefully some more upcoming bands are coming out of Alabama to kind of pave a way for them not to be so judged before they even are heard, and talked to.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, how you discovered rock music, or what kind of bands and music you were really digging when you grew up?
My dad actually was born in Indiana, and my mom lived down here and everything. But my dad fell in love with like Kiss and Twist Sister and Molly Crew and Rat and Poison, like the 70s and 80s like hair bands, stuff like that. He fell in love with those when he was a kid. So I grew up on that. Plus, when I got older, I also fell in love with like Papa Roach and Godsmack and 3 Days Grace and Shinedown and Alter Bridge, and the list goes on. But I was more like in the new metal and kind of alternative scene and everything, but I was raised on hair band, and I literally love everything in between, like grunge, alternative, indie. If it's rock or metal, I love it. And I also grew up liking a lot of like punk music and stuff like that too, like mainly Sum 41 and Blink 182,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Green Day's up in there and things like that. So, and all that stuff's like reflected in my bass playing and everything. I'm not a stereotypical stick to the one thing and play over and over again. Like, you'll hear me moving around a lot, especially like in stuff in California and things like that. And I take a lot of inspiration from that, like from Mike Dirnt from Green Day, or even some stuff from Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that. Like, I don't like just to sit there and have a boring bass line.
Oh, I know. I saw Flea with Red Hot Chili Peppers a couple years ago, and I was so amazed by how much energy he has at his age. He was like all over the stage, jumping really high, and I'm like, this guy is awesome.
Man, he is one crazy individual, but he is such a talented musician, and he plays more than just bass and everything. He is a phenomenal trumpet player and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I've
And he's
seen
done
him.
a lot of hard work.
He's very well spoken too. Like when you listen to him talk, he's so thoughtful and coherent, and yeah, he's just like a smart guy. It's awesome.
He's very in the moment, and he doesn't. He's one of those, like, life is definitely too short for him, and he's not going to wait around to make stuff happen. I mean, I've seen Red Hot Chili Peppers play with some ridiculous costumes on, all the way down to the point where they had nothing but socks
Oh yeah,
hanging
the
over.
socks.
Yeah. So, obviously they're not a band that's like, we're going to waste their time. Like, if they want to do it, they're going to do it. So, and I just love that. And plus, the pocket that him and Chad have together is just ridiculously insane.
Mm.
They're right there with like Rage Against the Machine. Like, they have such an amazing pocket, like between the bass and drums. Like, doesn't matter what you listen to of either one of those two bands, like, you can always just feel the groove in it, and you can always pick up like how their chemistry works together.
Absolutely. Do you remember the first concert you ever went to, or one that really stood out to you?
The first concert I ever actually went to, like a big mainstay concert, like at a studio or a arena or something like that, or stadium, was actually Kiss Alive 35, like back in like 2008. And Buck Cherry opened up for him, and literally, I'm not even kidding you, I think Buck Cherry might have played 6 songs, and then Kiss came out and did like a 2.5 hour set, like, and they were just ripping this. And you got to think, like, they're just now about to pretty much probably say they're going to hang it up.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that was 12 years ago, I think, when I saw them. And dude, they were phenomenal. Like, you can't, age has no factor in their show at all. Like, they kill it every single night. Their pyro's insane. Like, they give you the best energy that they can every single night. And they get a lot of flack because of who they are and how long they've been around and stuff like that. But a lot of people just want to be a hater to them just because of who they are and how successful they become. But after the show, I actually met Doc McGee, who was their manager at the time, and he was actually managing Kiss, Molly Crew, and Bon Jovi all at the same time. And I got to meet him and talk to him for a little bit, and that was pretty awesome to be able to see him and meet him. I got a signed pic from Paul Stanley and everything too, and that's like locked up under lock and key. That's never going to go anywhere.
Wow, that's awesome. No, I haven't seen them live before, but I've been hearing a lot of people talk to me about them and seeing them live, and they're like, man, I need to see them now. But
Yeah, it's a
like you
lot of
said,
fun.
they're
But
probably at that point where they might not, tour again.
yeah, I mean, they've talked about like kind of keeping the band going, but not those members. Like, there's a really big Kiss tribute band that's been going around that literally look a lot like them and sound a lot more like them than just about anybody else. And I'm really thinking that once they hang it up, they're pretty much going to pass the torch on and be like, okay, you guys are actually Kiss now. You're not a tribute band anymore. Like, you guys are it now. Like, they talked about like literally leaving Kiss as a brand alive, but Gene and Paul and all them, let them retire and live out the rest of their days. Obviously they're not hurting for money. They're riding the train right now. So
Yeah, maybe they'll turn like Kiss into like one of those Rock of Ages musicals.
yeah, it's probably. I'm waiting to see Kiss like on Broadway or something. I'm waiting for it, like interpretive dancing to Kiss and everything. I think it'd be hilarious.
Right. And if you could like jam on stage with any musician, who would you choose?
As a bass player with a full-blown band, I would probably have to say System of a Down or probably Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, right on,
Just
nice.
because I respect the bass. I respect both bass players equally. Shavo especially with System of a Down, and I love the rest of the band. And they're starting to bring out some new music, and everything has been blowing up. And but if I had to do it with a band and just like replace as a bass player, I would definitely probably be one of those two, just because of how much influence I've had over my playing and everything, especially in the last few years. But yeah, I think that would be probably the number one thing right there. But if I could actually play with like a bass player, it probably would actually be Billy Sheehan, because he is one of my biggest idols. And that guy is just a virtuoso on bass guitar. Like, this guy literally can build his basses from the ground up. He can tear them down. He can do all of his amp work. He can literally do everything. He is not one of those like, oh, I plug and play and that's all it is. Like, he knows everything about what he's doing.
Yeah, those are some good choices. I would love to see that. Now, I remember when
I think
System
it'd
of
be
a Down was really huge with Chop Suey, I think it was. I
yeah.
remember that song was everywhere, especially on MTV, back when they
Um,
actually played videos.
oh yeah, man, that's the golden age of MTV, is everybody always talks about, like, back when they actually used to play music, but I do miss MTV like that and everything. I miss a lot of stuff that we just don't have anymore,
I
but
used to
hopefully.
rush home to watch TRL, Total Request Live.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love it
Uh,
though, but
Good old days.
hopefully hopefully we'll see a turnaround, especially if the music does actually kind of history repeat itself to where we go back to like a rock and metal kind of scene. A lot of people would love to be able to go back and see that stuff, and a lot of people always talk about wanting the old MTV back and everything. If not anything, they could make big pushes on social media and stuff. Or I would love to actually see like a social media platform just for bands and just for music, and not have like family interaction or anything like that, because Facebook is like cracking down hard on bands. Like, nobody's allowed to play like live music anymore
Yeah, I
on
don't get
Facebook.
that. What's the point? Are they just trying to monetize off people now?
I think they're trying to do that, but they've also said that their reasoning for it is because they don't want Facebook to be used as a platform for bands to be able to advertise their music. They want to make it for people to be able to connect. And I'm like, so why don't you ever let bands on there in the first place? Because
Hmm.
so many people have big followings on there, but then you're going to be like, oh, you're not allowed to play anything live music. You can share all the videos you want to, but if a band goes live, like, say, System of a Down was like, okay, we're going to have a little private show, we're going to put it on live. Like, they could literally ban their account just because they were playing like live music through their own like Facebook page.
That's
And I
ridiculous.
I think it would be great if they could actually come up with something to where musicians could go on there, like something like Patreon or something like that, but not be a platform where you have to go and look for stuff like that. You could literally go on there and be like, okay, I want to see Red Hot Chili Peppers, play their stuff, or even behind the scenes stuff. Like, really just have a strict band social media set up, or like a pay to subscribe, something like that, like where people can go and get the content they want without having to worry about people trying to shut them down or something like that. I think that'd be a great asset that we could get behind, especially with this pandemic going on and everything.
Yeah, I would definitely get behind that. We just need to
Oh, I
find
would
someone to
too.
develop it.
Well, I mean, I've got some brains, but I don't know if I got enough to make all that work and everything.
Same
I don't
here.
know if I'd, that'd be a lot of licensing and a lot of people to talk to. So
Exactly.
I'd need a team. I need the A team.
Exactly. Well, what else does Broken Rail have coming up in the near future?
Um, well, the album's out now, so that's already behind us. We got all the
Right, Beautiful
music videos
Chaos,
out that
right?
we, oh yeah, gotta love it. But it's out. All the music that we have recorded are already out and they've already been released and everybody can see those. But I think the next thing for us, other than being ready for hopefully when we can go back on the road and just being play and ready, like we all of us keep very active. And me, Blake, and Aaron especially, like we like going to the gym and staying very active and keeping ourselves up. And Skylar's around the same way and everything. Dave has a few more kids than a lot of the rest of us, so he's usually just a full time dad, but that keeps you up. That keeps you up big time.
I can imagine.
But but I have a kid too and everything, and it's a lot of fun. But I know how it is having the dad life and stuff. But we're just keeping up in physical shape. We're trying to get all of our stuff set, but the biggest thing is we're already starting to write more music and everything. Like we toss around ideas and we try to do like at least usually once a week, like we'll try to send some stuff out and be like, hey, what do you guys think about this idea? And then, we'll find stuff that people like the rest of us like and we'll start running with it and just see where it goes.
Very cool. Well, I'm hoping the best for you guys, and like everyone else, I'm dying to see live music again. So, hopefully soon
Oh,
I'll be able to catch you guys on the East Coast.
no, believe you me, I'm so ready to be back out on the road and be able to play shows and everything. I'm pretty well a social person and everything. I don't like being stuck around, not really being able to see people and stuff. I like being at the merch table at shows, and I like being able to see people. I like people coming up and talking to me, and everybody always has a free invitation to come up and talk to me, even if I'm busy. I'll still keep working. I'll still keep talking to you and everything. But I love it, and especially like with these interviews and stuff like that. Like I love talking to people, and I love getting the information out there, and
Yeah, it's
gives me a
it's
bigger
hard being a
gives me a
hermit
bigger
crab these
part.
days.
Oh man, I'm an extrovert. I can't stand the fact that I'm having to be stuck up inside and very minimalistic activities and I'm so tired of the mask. I'm so tired of having the mask on.
Same here. But yeah, fingers crossed that this will all come to an end soon.
Right.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Dakotah. It's been a blast chatting with you.
Oh yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on and everything. And if you ever want to do anything like this again, let me know. I'm always free. Like I said, I love doing stuff like this, so it does not bother me one bit in the world.
Absolutely. And I'll brainstorm some ways to get around that Facebook ban of live streaming.
I'm telling you, at this point, like we've actually been tossing the idea around a little bit, but I mean, we might actually end up doing like a Patreon or something like that. I mean, I tossed around the idea we should do an OnlyFans, but OnlyFans has a weird reputation right now. It's
Right, I
either
know.
it's either really exclusive stuff or really, really exclusive R-rated stuff. So you kind of have to pick your poison on that one.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can, and hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hopefully the rest of the week won't be too bad for you.
Thank you, and don't forget to rock.
Oh, definitely.